1999 ZRX that was just dropped off to me from a customer from the ZRX OA. We're going to go over just a couple of things that I'm going to point out to other people whenever you're looking at a Rex and stuff and you want to know a few things. So this is actually a pretty clean example with just a few minor imperfections, nothing very serious. This is the second owner of it. I wanted to note to him, which he didn't notice, that the shift linkage right here was bent and there was signs of the bike actually just falling over. Not a crash. There was just a few marks here on the pulsar cover, not a big deal. I like to actually strip a bike down a little bit before I go and put it on the lift, especially when it has bungee spools out back, because there's really nothing to hold on to put it on lift. And I like to put everything up nice and safe, cover it with a towel, and keep everything secure, because the bodywork for these bikes is getting a lot more difficult to get a hold of. But when I removed the front fairing, I noticed that the headlight adjuster screw was actually just hanging out loose like this. There's actually a spring right here and a little nut that's there to actually adjust the headlight. So we'll sort that out and get a new spring and a new nut for that. Not a big deal. And another thing too is I like to make a parts drawer just for the bike, everything that I take off that's fragile and stuff like that. A couple other things to note is that I showed him how the vacuum cap was actually completely split and dry rotted. This is actually causing a vacuum leak and some issues. We have our original brake lines that we're going to be replacing. This is a 20-year-old motorcycle now. And you can actually see this pod right here is about to fall off. It's not actually installed right. This gap right here should not be here, and the angle should be down. Well, there we go. It just fell off. Let's see the other one. Oh, that one fell off too. That one, oh, those were definitely not very secure. So we'll be cleaning all those pods and installing them correctly and getting that all done nice. Something else too, I want to show the bike obviously fell over on the right side as well. And what you're looking at is this brake pedal right here. It's actually bent in. It should actually be out about this right here. It should actually be square with the clutch cover. You shouldn't have to toe your foot in to applicate it. It should be like this. But that's actually an easy fix. It's not a big deal. We got 2000 date code tires, so we're probably going to be upgrading to some new rubber. Not quite sure what the choice is going to be yet, but that's an easy thing to do. Of course, with some new valve stems as well, so we don't have to worry about getting a flat down the road. Looks like the Speedo drive is eking out its grease and stuff, so we'll probably clean and repack the Speedo drive with some fresh bearing grease. The bike pushed really well. No sign of any kind of dragging or dragging brakes, but we're going to go through bleed and flush everything. Something else I like to notate to people is the brass bushing right here in the clutch lever. This one's not as worn as some that I've seen, but it's kind of sticking. You can see some wear here, but this actual bushing is worn out and slightly ovalized, so we'll replace that. That's about a $9 part. Rare Crispy's mirror plugs right here. We may have some gunk here in the clutch slave cylinder. It probably will look like mud at a later point. But overall, it's a pretty nice bike. We might be putting some Muzzy cams in it. He's got a set at home. I said, well, if I'm doing a valve adjustment, it's probably just a good time for us to throw the cams in at this time. So the bike's stripped down right now. Oh, let's see what our coolant level is. Well, it's full to the top. That's a good sign. Definitely time for a radiator cap, though. We've got our imprints on the gasket, the sealing gasket. So we do have a new one coming. I only recommend OEM Kawasaki. A lot of the guys like to use the Toyota Corolla gasket, or radiator cap, I'm sorry. And there have been a few known issues with them. But that's it. Chris, your bike will be nice and ready to go here in a few weeks.